Hello everyone. This video is going to cover how to add, edit, change filters with respect to the schedule page. So it was requested that a short video be created on how to maneuver, manipulate, utilize the filters with respect to the schedule. So being able to see certain games, certain teams, certain sites, it can all be done through the add filter function. So with that, when you go to your schedule page and you click on this add filter button, here's all the options available to you to be able to look at a game, particular set of games, maybe a date range of games by sport, by level, teams, sites, build tos. You can look at the different variations of slots, linked games, game reports. You can also manipulate the way the games order. So let's just cover a couple of scenarios, hopefully that will provide everybody a good idea of how the filter works. So I'm using a group that has actually quite a bit of custom filters, as you see here. These are all the different filters. And the way this assigner is working is he's got a filter for just his varsity games for week 1, and I'm using football as the example, but the same principle applies to any group, any sport, when it comes to utilizing the filters. So he's looking at week 1 varsity, week 2 sub-varsity, week 2 varsity. So basically he's separating out his varsity games from his sub-varsity games. And if we click on one of them, you can see here's all the varsity games, no sub-varsity shows. And conversely, no varsity games in this one, only sub-varsity games. So it's an easy way for him to manage if the games are being assigned, which ones are lacking. He can look at it at a weekly basis. But if we wanted to just look at a particular subset of games, right, then we could let's just take the first 2 we see here, just as an example. We could actually click on Add Filter, and let's say we want to look at games between, ignore the example I was going to talk about. Let's just say we want to look at games between, the game numbers between 1 and 50. So if we put 1 through 50, and you click on Get Results, then it's going to bring back every game that is 1 through 50. Now it won't put it in numerical order. It's going to put it based on the settings you have down here at the very bottom. So if you click on Edit, and you don't like the way the filter looks, then you can adjust anything you need to here, right? So maybe you want to look at a particular, maybe you just want to look at all the varsity games or whatever. But we can also manipulate the way the games are shown. So on the left-hand box, it's going to go sort order of date first, so it puts it in chronological, then site alpha, then time. Excuse me. And if we wanted it to go game ID first, for example, we wanted it to go 1 through 50, then we could put game ID at the very top, and that's going to be the first sort, right? So if we say Get Results, now everything is going to be shown in numerical order. So it's going to go 1 through 10, then it's going to go by date, and then alpha, site, and then time. And if you don't like the way that looks, then you can just click on Edit, come back over, throw it back to the way it was, say Get Results, and then everything is back the way it was. We're still looking at games 1 through 50. Now let's say you wanted to look at a particular date of games. So we could say 8, or let's do 9, 3. I think that's a good day. Nope, not a good day. Okay, let's look at the calendar then, and we can go 9/1, because that's a Friday. We can say Get Results. Here are all of our Friday games, right? Or you can look at a date range. So if you say between, then you could go, let me look at all September games, 9/1 through 9/30. These are going to bring back all my September games. So here's every game I have in the month of September. And you can just look through those as well, right? If you wanted to create a custom filter, like this guy, like this assigner has here, you could say between, for example, and say 10:1 through 10:31. Oops, 31. And you could name this filter October Games. Now, the difference when you're creating a filter versus just getting results is if you're going to create a custom filter, you first have to give it a name, then set your criteria, and then click on Save. This will then create the custom filter, and it will default to, or when the page refreshes, it's going to land on that filter. And this filter will always be saved. It'll be in here until you want to either delete it or you can edit it. Say you don't like the whole month of October, you could come in and edit it and say, well, I just want the first half of October. So you can adjust it to say 10:15. Save it because you're saving the filter itself. And now it's going to only give you back the games from October 1st to October 15th. And if you're done with that filter, or if you don't want it anymore, then you can say delete. And now that filter will be gone. It'll say, basically it's bringing you to this page to say, are you sure? Because this is your criteria. You say, yes, I am, delete it, and now that filter is gone. Let's say you wanted to, a good filter that I always suggest for assigners to look at is either by site. You could do it by site if you wanted to, or you could do it by team. Now, something to note is you can do a singular filter, or you can even drag it down to a specific team. So here's my example. This isn't going to, it shouldn't bring us back any games because I'm wanting to look at games that are at A&M Consolidated Middle School, and the home team is listed as Allen Academy. So if I say get results, nothing should come back because I don't have a game in my system that meets that filter. So if you keep getting results that say, or that have no games that come back, then the message that's being sent is there are no games in this filter. There are no games in your system that meet that filter settings, and that's okay. That could be the message being sent to you that says, hey, this game isn't in there and it needs to be added. Or it's just you confirming that, hey, then there's no games that meet that, so we're good. But you can also just strictly look at an individual site. So if I say A&M Consolidated Middle School, then here are all the games that are being played at that site. The reason why this is good is you can go through team by team to confirm that all the games are in here. So you can take your schedule that's sent to you from the school, cross-reference it or cross-check it with what is in your system, and if you're missing any games, you can quickly add it from here. This is also a good way to utilize the mass linking feature that's here in Arbiter. And what I mean by that is, imagine that all these games were not linked, right? They're not linked. So what you can do is look at all the games, pull them up by site, check the box, come over here to where it says auto link and unlink. You say you want to mass link games. Obviously, it's going to tell us that no games are going to be able to be linked because they already are. But you can set in your criteria. It's 2 games per linked set. It could be 3 games per linked set. Just depends on your criteria. And then when you're done with it, you can say process, and those games that you're looking at will eventually be linked. The system is very good to recognize that this is game number 1 and this is game number 2 at the same site on the same day. So it's going to link those. If the game, or if you have a set of games that don't get linked, chances are it's a different day, the time is too far apart, or the site is different. The way the mass linking works is it looks at the day first and then the site to confirm that it's the same day at the same site, and then it looks at the time to match your time criteria in order to link the games together. But that's a very easy way to utilize the filter and to utilize the mass linking versus going in and linking all the games by hand. You're more than welcome to link all games by hand. You are. But it's just a real quick way to say, all right, I need to look at all the games that are being played at A&M Consolidated Tiger High School. So here's all the games. If I need to, I can come in and say, well, I don't want to link all these games together. Okay, well, just check all the boxes, come over to AutoLink, and have the system do it for you. If it links in error or for whatever reason, you can just break the link individually and then link them as needed. But this AutoLink feature goes hand in hand with the filter because you can look at a particular site and have the system link the games for you. Other ways to look at filters down here are based on slots. You can look at slots with missing assignments, all slots that are accepted, pending slots. In the event that you haven't published anything, you can confirm that you've published all your games with a specific time frame. You can look at self-assigned slots. You can look at slots that are not paid by bill to, just to tidy up any arbiter pay necessities when it comes to getting the games paid by the schools. You can look at all of the different game statuses. Are the slots verified? If you utilize game reports, you can see which ones are red, green, or yellow. You can even use locked filters when it comes to assigning officials. Where this comes in handy is, let's just say that we've got a subset of playoff officials that have passed all their eligibilities and they are playoff eligible. Then you could create that filter under the People tab, save that filter of officials, and then come back here and say, I want to assign my playoff games, right? So we could say, do they have playoff in here? Yeah. So here's a playoff level by district, and I could come down here and say, I only want to see my playoff eligible officials for the filter that you created. And when you do that and say get results, then it will bring back all the games that are playoff or whatever you set as the sport or level. And then when you go assign the games, then it will only bring you the officials that meet the criteria in the filter that you created underneath the People tab. So that's a quick overview of how the filter works. But in short, just remember that you can create a filter based on any of these criterias. You can do a singular criteria where maybe you're only looking at a particular level, right? Or you can do a combination to where you're really magnifying the scope of what you're trying to look for. 8 times out of 10, you're probably only going to use one of these when it comes to looking at your games. But if you really need to find your games and you don't know where it is, or you need to find a particular game and you just really don't know where it is, then you can use a combination of these options when it comes to filters to be able to view your games. So I hope that helps. By all means, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions at all. Our support staff is always willing to help with anything that you have. With that, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you.